So John.
And do you want me to look at you or the camera?
Look at me. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so first podcast.
Awesome. Congrats.
Here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes.
All right. So John, tell me about what you do. This is serious.
I know. Okay. Can we start over, please?
No, this is good. This is
Okay.
good. We're good.
All right, go.
I don't know how to edit, so.
Okay. I am the founder and CEO of a software company called ContentTools, and we help businesses create interactive content. And along with that, I'm also the founder and CEO of PowerUp Labs, a digital agency here in Louisville. We work with a lot of local companies, helping them with software development, marketing, and strategy.
Okay, so what kind of companies do you work for?
With PowerUp Labs, it's mainly companies in the region that want somebody that they can meet with, that they can meet face to face, that they can trust, that has experience in this space doing digital services, and the majority of the companies are in the area.
Okay.
And then with ContentTools, it's companies all over the U.S., mainly B2B software companies.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Since 2011.
2011.
So 5 years.
And what drove you to be an entrepreneur? What kind of spawned that in you?
I guess just growing up, I've always been interested in business. That's what I got my degree in, management and finance. And that was just, I knew that one day I wanted to start a company.
Okay.
I didn't know when or how at the time.
But you always knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay. So take me back to, did that start with how you grew up? Like, did you grow up with entrepreneurs as in your family? Did you?
Yes, I had a grandfather that was an entrepreneur and started a car dealership in California. And I always thought that was really cool, and he was successful with that, and I always admired that. And then my dad started with a company in Bowling Green, Camping World, when it was just 10 employees, and now Marcus Lemonis is the CEO, and it's grown to a huge company. But he was there in the beginning, and he was a manager and led people and opened up new stores and did a lot of neat things that I always thought, well, that's interesting that he's helping grow this company.
Yeah, Camping World. I've heard about that.
Yeah. And then my grandfather just starting from not a lot to being able to work at a car dealership, understand the business, to starting his own. And then he had a Mazda and Honda dealership.
Okay.
And I always thought that was a really good story that he would tell.
Yeah. When did he start that? Like, what year?
Probably back in 70s, early 70s, yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Did your family come to Kentucky from California at some point? When did that happen?
They were, before I was born, they were traveling mainly for business with Camping World. They would go to Kissimmee and set up stores in Florida. Then they moved to California and helped set up kind of stores on the West Coast. And then
while you were born?
No, before I was born. Well, my brother was born in Florida, and then I was born in California.
Okay.
And then they came back to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to the headquarters.
Okay.
But it had him traveling, when he was younger and didn't have kids. And then once he had kids, he was able to relocate back to where they're originally from, which is Kentucky.
Okay. So you're from Kentucky?
Yes.
You've always lived in Kentucky?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Bowling Green, Lexington, and now Louisville. So
Okay.
I've been all three. All three are very different.
Have you ever wanted to live somewhere else?
Yes, I have. And I'm hoping that this will allow me to travel more. And that's usually what we think of when we think of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
A lot of what we do with ContentTools is all virtual sales.
Okay.
So there's no reason to travel and meet with these people. And that's why we started the PowerUp Labs thing. We can go out and network, meet people, help local companies. It's a handshake type of business that we really like. But yeah, I'm hoping that eventually this will lead me to be able to travel and check out some other cities and see if maybe I do want to live somewhere else one day.
Okay. So how is PowerUp Labs and ContentTools different than anything that's in a similar vertical? different agencies?
Yeah.
Different...
Well, ContentTools, it's really a new market for interactive content is what we focus on. And this is assessments, calculators, things that people can go to your website and fill out information and get a customized result. I guess what we do that's a little different is we're able to fully customize it. A lot of our competitors, you have to use templates. You can't make it look any way you want. You can't make it function any way you want.
Okay.
We can integrate with any CRM. So the customization options for us, we can do pretty much anything. And our competitors are limited to these templates. For PowerUp Labs, when you talk about companies that are coming to us, they're wanting help with online initiatives. Well, we've done a online company ContentTools. We've shown success with inbound marketing, content marketing, sales, building software, getting people to convert and pay, and we're using that knowledge to help other companies. So I don't know if a lot of other agencies have people running the agency have the experience that we have. And they might have other experience in retail or manufacturing or something that they bring to the table. But what makes us unique is having the software experience as our background.
Okay.
And somebody that was maybe working in an ad agency or something like that and started their own ad agency. I mean, they know more about advertisement than probably I do, traditional. But when it comes to creating software and marketing that software, I think is where we're unique.
Now, I always think about your company and from the perspective that your experience, that you're able to provide strategic direction, and even in terms of like smart resource allocation for companies, because you have been an entrepreneur in the digital space.
Yes.
Is that something that you think of yourselves as?
Yes. We know how important spending capital, especially early stage companies, where you allocate your capital and how you spend your money, you want to get the most value out of it. And if you have $5,000, what's the best way to spend that to have the most value come back to you?
Right. Sorry. Let's see. I gotta something pop up on my calendar. Okay, we're back.
So, the calendar pop up.
Distracting. So can you tell me about the first company you started and who you started it with? And
yes,
what was the idea?
it was called Why Wait, and it was a mobile app to see restaurant wait times. My co-founder Eric Littleton, it was his idea. It was right when iPhones and mobile apps were the next big thing. It was back in 2011. What's that? What did I say that made you crack up?
I have nervous laughter.
Okay.
So, in inappropriate times.
So I was working at a bank, and Eric had this idea for this app. It was kind of a gold rush for mobile apps at the time. Everybody was trying to create the next. I forget. It wasn't Instagram. It was before Instagram.
Okay.
Maybe Twitter or Vine. Everybody was trying to create the next big
or
app.
Game. Or,
yeah.
Okay.
So tons of people were creating apps. Yeah, and there wasn't a solution to see wait times anywhere, and nobody had cracked that code.
Okay.
So Eric approached me with it. I thought it was a good idea because I saw value in it. From the consumer, yeah, it'd be nice to see wait times. So that's how I got started. Was Eric had this idea for an app for show restaurant wait times. That's where it all began.
So you had the idea. Then what did you do?
So Eric did the research and just found out about something that I wasn't really familiar with, and that's raising money, raising capital, and giving away equity in your company.
Okay.
So we had somebody that put the initial funding in to get us going, to get us to quit our jobs and start this full time. Once we started developing how the business plan and everything out, friends and family wanted to get in, they wanted to get involved, they saw our passion of what we were doing. And we launched Why Wait back in 2012, had restaurants in Bowling Green and Louisville updating a wait time through an Android tablet at the Hostess stand.
Okay.
So you could get on the app on a Friday night and you could see what wait times were in the city. The solution wasn't the best. It wasn't integrated with what they're already doing. It was almost just an extra step they had to do.
Okay.
But at the same time, we thought that it saves on the amount of phone calls that the hostess gets because they're constantly getting calls. How long is the wait? Also, if a restaurant is displaying a 10-minute wait or a short wait, that can help drive business to them. Hey, we don't have a big wait, come and eat at our restaurant. And then just the customer service level for a restaurant that has an over an hour wait time, letting people know so that they don't have somebody that comes, goes in, here's an hour wait and leaves. It's just transparency in it. I mean, the data is already out there. You can call and say, what's the wait? But I think it needed to be tied in with their POS system or some other solution.
Open Table, maybe.
Yeah, Open Table was doing the reservations.
Yeah.
And not all restaurants were using Open Table at the time.
Okay.
Because they do kind of use and charge a fee and different things to the restaurant. Every time a guest books through Open Table, the restaurant is paid $1 to $5 or maybe more now. So that's Open Table's model. Plus they come in with a point of sale type solution they try to upsell you on. But yeah, at the time Open Table was really getting a lot of momentum. They weren't focused on the wait time aspect, so we thought there was an opportunity there. But I don't think the solution was the right one. We had a lot of people using the app. We had restaurants updating the wait time, but we just couldn't see how we were going to scale this thing.
So scale or monetize?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. A lot of people think that you can monetize through ads. You have to have a lot of views to monetize through ads. Back then, it was easier because people were paying a higher CPM, a higher ad rate for mobile ads, just because there wasn't a lot of, it was a new thing, new technology. And now you have Facebook and Twitter and all these social platforms, Google AdWords, all these places you can allocate your digital ad dollars. So digital banner ads that you see on apps are really low paying. So now you have to have just a huge quantity of page views and eyes and people using your app to be able to monetize through ads alone.
So all these free apps, I just heard the story about the founder of Bumble, which is a dating app.
Yes.
And she was also a founder of Twitter, or Tinder, Tinder.
Yeah.
And how do they monetize? How does...
I'm not on Tinder, but does Tinder have ads
on it? It's just a popular app that's free for users. I'm trying to think.
Usually like a Pinterest or an Instagram, their first goal is to show so much user engagement that it just blows every other app out of the water. When you think about the number of apps that you download and then how many you're still using, your Instagrams, your popular apps, your Pinterest, your Tinders,
social apps,
yes, get used on a daily basis, multiple times a day, and just so many eyes that whenever they put up a sponsored ad or something like that, I mean, it gets 10,000 views very quickly. Like they have so many people using the app that they can just have as many advertisers on their platform as they want. It'll never run out. Plus, they're able to really target the ads because they know information about you. So a lot of advertisers don't just want to say, hey, throw this out to anybody. They want to say, I'm targeting 20 to 40-year-old women, and then Facebook and different social
location, or that have this preference.
I mean, even Facebook now, they can show you can target by behavior, and it's almost like depending on how or what somebody's posting on their wall, they can know behaviors patterns. So if I want to target people that are kind of in the corporate culture, not because you've said you are corporate on Facebook, just because of the content that you're reposting or liking or sharing, they know that you like business or you like tech and things like that. That for an advertiser, being able to really narrow down your audience to this is who I want to target is very valuable, and that raises the price they can charge. So I'm sure on Instagram that they have data about you, who you follow, and things like that. They're able to create a customer profile about you, and then advertisers can pay a higher premium in order just to target those people.
So, but going back to an app that's free and not, I guess not,
What-
maybe it's social, but it's
Yeah.
not an Instagram. It's
Yeah.
not Pinterest. It's not Snapchat.
Yeah.
So then.
Is Tinder displaying ads?
I don't know. I'm not on Tinder.
Yeah. Let's say some games. I mean, you have.
Yeah, like a game.
Yeah. So let's say like Clash of Clans, which sold for hundreds of millions of
Okay.
dollars. Yeah, 99% of people are never going to spend a dime on that game. And you have like 1% of people, it could be more, I don't know the stats on it, are spending tons of money on that game to upgrade stuff.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's the kind of, I don't know if it's freemium model or maybe it's a pay to win or pay to advance model.
Okay.
Where if people want to go faster in the game, that they pay money.
Right.
And so something like that where you have things you can buy inside of the app is a way that they'll monetize. And not everybody's going to buy those things, but Snapchat, I think they did the filters that you can purchase.
Yeah, and discover feature. So National Geographic, Cosmo could put their content in the app.
Yeah.
And for $1 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. And then usually, I mean the stats are, and it might have changed since we were doing a lot of mobile app stuff and research. But I mean, whenever you come out with an app, let's say you get 100 people to download it. Typically, after 12 months, you might have one person that still uses your app.
Retention.
I mean, it's just retention is so tough with new apps that whenever you have these Snapchat who never has to, they were raising so much money, their value was so high.
Yeah.
And people are like, why? They're not even making any money. But people who really understand the market see how many dedicated, hardcore users they have, how sticky the product is. And they're like, well, they can figure out a way to monetize. It's different. It's same, with Pinterest, one of their metrics is looking at how many times people are pinning stuff is their big driver. Okay, the more that people are pinning, the more that we see that people are engaging with their app. And they're doing everything they could to increase that. But early on, they just saw, look at all these people that are just constantly getting on and pinning new things, and there's so much user engagement. This is a gold mine. Yeah. Eventually to monetize.
So why wait? That just didn't end up getting enough traction. There was friction there.
Yeah.
Not a good way to monetize it. Then what? What did you all decide?
So we had some technology to show events and restaurant listings and things like that. So we pivoted into local view. Okay. And this was just a product to show what was going on in Louisville or in your city.
And when was that?
This was 2013. Okay. And we were in Louisville, Cincinnati, Nashville, and Bowling Green, and Lexington. So we were in 5 cities with it. And our revenue driver was deals. We didn't want to rely on ads. So we did a similar deal model to Groupon at the time was really big. Groupon and Living Social. Yeah. Who now you don't really see them anymore.
Right. I think they kind of lost touch with.
Yeah.
They had so many users, and then they.
And businesses were getting, about the time that we were selling it, we were getting deals on our platform, but businesses were starting to get burned by Groupon, and they would lose a lot of margin, or they would sometimes lose money on offering a Groupon deal. And Groupon would say, well, look how much exposure you got. And then some people try to structure a deal where they might raise a price of something just so they can discount it beyond Groupon, which doesn't bring value to the user.
And do you think Groupon, from my just small perspective, like I've recently got on Groupon for a deal, and I just felt like it hasn't innovated any. It still looks the same as it looked in 2009.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any new deals. Back in the day, they could always send out newsletters and be like, here's a new deal we have.
Right, yeah.
And it's kind of a cool thing to see, okay, what new deal is on here. And a lot of restaurants, a lot of local beauty shops and tanning, health and beauty type of products, venues and event places like laser tag or bowling. There's all these, there's almost a reason to, okay, what's going on in Groupon this month? And, okay, I'm going to go bowl and I might go to the restaurant.
Did you ever buy a Groupon and then never use it?
Yes.
I feel like that's why I stopped doing those.
And we made ours a little different where you didn't have to buy the Groupon ahead of time.
Okay.
And that was what made our deals different. Was typically you pay Groupon. Groupon gets all of the money, and then the restaurant who's running the deal doesn't get the money until like 30 or 60 days after the fact. So they still have to honor all these Groupons, and they're just having to, So
eat the cash flow.
Yeah.
Right there.
So that was, this time around, instead of ads, we were doing the deals, and we had 60 plus deals on the platform. We had people using the deals, but we needed more deals. We needed better deals, and this was about the time that deals were starting to fade out. So with Local View, we started writing more content to get more eyes to our platform, and then we were back to selling ads, sponsored content, that kind of thing. And we did do a better job at selling ads this time, a lot of local ads, because we were getting at one point over 500,000 page views every month to Local View, to our website. But then we were back into this business of selling local ads, and that really wasn't what we were in it for. To scale it, you'd have to put in local feet on the street. You have to get your name brand out there, and we also had technology that we built that led into ContentTools. So at the time, Local View was, maybe we were full, 100% on Local View. We also were experimenting with ContentTools software. We found some companies that were willing to pay us a monthly fee to license that software.
Okay.
So once we saw that ContentTools was a viable business, we then started throttling down on Local View, and it just became another pivot from Local View to ContentTools.
And when was that?
This was 2014, probably May or so, when we started really developing out ContentTools.
So you've been a full-time entrepreneur this whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you, just reflecting back, are there anything that you would have prevented? Like you would kind of advise yourself who's wanting to build an app or want to just strike out on their own to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think once you get it going, an idea sounds really good, but to validate it is first thing first, to understand how you're going to make money or how you're going to get a bunch of users and see that happen before you try to expand. We tried to grow something before it was truly validated or before we really understood the model and what we were doing. We were just kind of growing and figuring out where we fit in the market. I almost would rather have gone slower in the beginning to make sure there was a good fit in the market. And if there wasn't, then you didn't spend a lot of capital trying to figure that out.
Okay.
And then if you do, you have all that capital that you didn't spend to now ramp up because you found a fit in the market.
Okay, so product market fit.
Yes, and really waiting, it's whenever people give you money and they're like, go, 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 we love this business concept, go, 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 go. I mean, that just makes you feel like you just got to move extremely fast, and sometimes you're moving faster than what a business allows for.
Okay.
Like Rome wasn't built in a day type of thing. You got to build up things. With ContentTools, we saw a lot more success whenever we started getting big companies using the product. Whenever we started getting case studies, those type of things take time to develop. You got to work with small companies to get big companies. Once you get big companies, you can put those logos on your website and get really nice case studies. And even now, our case studies and our logos are getting bigger and better as we move on. Well, once you have that in place, your conversion rates become better for people going to your website. Whenever I'm on a sales call, I can point to big companies. I can point to actual case studies that allow my conversion rates on call to close to increase. These things just take time. And
gain that.
Yeah.
That clientele, right? You start with maybe a smaller company or customer, and then you get one, then you try to get 2, 3, and you try to build. So like B2B, you get a smaller company, and then you go tell another company, hey, I got this company.
Yes.
Would you be interested?
Yeah.
They'd be more likely to listen to your pitch.
Where, I mean, a lot of people think, okay, I have this, let's say I have this product, I'm going to go sell it to Humana in Louisville. Or no, you're going to sell it to some other people before you can even, if you go try to sell it to Humana, they're going to ask for data and numbers and who you work with, and you're going to strike out.
Yeah.
So it's just, you got to take the steps. And yeah, I mean, unless you have the Snapchats of the world that come out, but those are really rare.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody that starts a new software company thinks they have that Snapchat in, before they've even validated it.
The entrepreneur is a visionary.
Yeah.
So they're always like, this is great. And that's good. That's awesome. That's what makes an entrepreneur.
And then sometimes we call it putting on the blinders, where we would focus on certain metrics, maybe they're vanity metrics, to try to convince ourselves or convince investors that yes, things are going well, look at these metrics. They really don't even affect revenue and things like that, and are blinded by like maybe a user retention metric or a conversion metric, metrics that maybe are more important, that, I don't know, you almost focus on what the good instead of the bad. And now it's almost, since we've gone through that we focus on the bad and how do we fix that.
So for a going back to Snapchat, users to me don't equal dollars, right? Not users of your website or page views.
Yeah.
You have to figure out a business model to sustain your vision or what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Support yourself, or if you want to be a multimillionaire, you have to kind of reverse engineer how you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So from the perspective that you and I are both in Louisville, Kentucky right now, what do you feel like, what advantages and disadvantages are we at this geographic location?
I really like the entrepreneurial vibe here because go to venture connectors and I'm here at the park with other entrepreneurs, so I like the network. I also like the companies here.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a lot of high tech going on, like really cutting edge stuff. A lot of the tech is tech that already exists that's being fashioned in a different way. It's a new product, but it's not new groundbreaking technology. So I don't know how much high tech we have here in Louisville. Like our business, we're doing stuff, but it's nothing that is, something completely
like a novel and brand new.
Yeah, or it's so maybe that aspect. There's tech companies in town that are software companies, and some are doing some really cool things. I can think of a couple right now that they're doing neat things, like an El Toro. They actually have some patent pending processes and doing things with data and IP targeting, that I would consider, okay, they're doing some new technology.
And El Toro is an ad tech company located here.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's hard to say anything bad about your city. For me, it's just like, what can we do to maybe make it even better?
To drive the needle forward.
Yes, yeah, so I'm a pretty positive person. So
Yeah.
try to, I think having successful companies, having I used to work at Velocity, or you have the Nucleus or the Park, having something like that is really fostering early stage companies. You have a couple of successes, you have some accelerators and different things going on, you have an active investor class. We have all these things, so yeah, I think just keep on focusing in on that. Grants and the state or government coming in, and you think about companies who maybe have gotten a grant from the state or are located in Kentucky because Kentucky is giving them money to stay here, and the amount of jobs that they are creating through their company. And you probably know one that you're close with that is a growing company.
Innovative, where I work.
So they're hiring, they're bringing in jobs. Whenever I'm doing payroll, just the payroll tax alone is great. bringing revenue into the city, paying employees who are going out, and it's the government should be almost paying people to start companies.
Yeah, to sustain the economics of the
Mhm.
city and to grow.
Yeah.
To kind of kickstart that machine.
Yeah.
The economic engine.
But they don't know how to invest in companies, and
Sure.
I've met with them. And then sometimes, you have to do so much in terms of maybe financial statements and reports and audits. If you do take money from the government, from what I hear, what I read, that maybe would deter somebody from even wanting to go after that type of
Right.
money.
Yeah, I've looked at women business like grants or
Mhm.
loans, and it's overwhelming to try to wade through that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I should just try to go make money and sell something.
Yeah. And then whenever you have the success of a company that maybe gets acquired or is doing big things, money gets put back into the investors' hands, which they can put back into new companies. It just is almost like something you can point to. Yeah, Louisville, we had X, Y, and Z come out of Louisville. It just, if somebody wants to do maybe accelerator program or something, well, what goes on in Louisville? Well, so-and-so was there and they raised money in Louisville, and Louisville investors invested X amount last year and they ended up selling. Louisville was a great place to go to start a company.
Yeah.
So it's tough to get anybody outside of Kentucky, if they're like, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to relocate somewhere, to be like, oh, well, I think I'm going to go to Louisville. You normally think
It's fun here.
Yeah. So I don't know how you get outside entrepreneurs to want to relocate. You'd have to give them some type of monetization to come, or I don't know. But it seems very valuable. I would almost just try to pay more entrepreneurs who are maybe past the early stage threshold, or
after product market fit.
yes, who are validating something.
Right. Okay.
How do you get those people to come in, hire and grow within Louisville?
Yeah.
As an investment, I don't know what the city of Louisville can do, but it seems like a pretty good investment in the long term to try to get some of those companies here.
Okay, so that's a takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Have just more, government investors just be involved in entrepreneurship. And I think we're getting there. So.
And thinking about it, the investors know. They're investors for a reason. They've done it before. They've gotten money somehow, or grew their net worth somehow.
Yeah.
They see a lot of deals and they know what to invest in. Or maybe the funds, if the government has funds to allocate, who is it that's making the decision at the city level? Maybe that's kind of the risk, is that they don't have anybody. So I don't know if there's any way to piggyback.
Okay.
I know they do offer incentives in Indiana. Maybe it's coming to Kentucky, where an angel investor investing in a growth company will get a tax incentive, tax write-off on like half of what they invested. So they invest $100K into a company, they can write off $50K at tax time, which is a great incentive. Yeah. So maybe even that type of incentive to get investors more interested in coming in. And then how do you take your average investor, our parents, 50 plus, who have money in the stock market, maybe some real estate, maybe bonds or something less risky. How do you get them to be able to participate in this? Because some, they don't want to put everything into high risk, but they might want to allocate a small percentage into, maybe there's one, and that is pretty much, friends and family round is generally people that, never invest in a company that isn't through a financial institution or a mutual fund or something like that. So, I don't know.
So what advice could you give an aspiring entrepreneur or someone like myself who wants to be a part of the startup ecosystem?
Yeah.
I know you and I go to a lot of networking events, and I'm interested to hear how valuable you think that is, and what you get out of it.
For me, the value that I see is, to be honest, I'm doing PowerUp Labs, and to grow that business, a lot of networking and meeting new people and trying to solve other people's problems.
Okay.
I enjoy it though on the other end. Uh, I don't know. I guess it's just people that like to go out and meet other people and
Yeah.
similar people like White House stuff that we go to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody there is interested in business or have goals of being successful or whatever it might be. That some of the networking events are neat because everybody's there for kind of the same reason or has the same mindset. Like the LDA, the Louisville Digital Association events, everybody's kind of wanting to talk about marketing or learn more about marketing.
Yeah.
I went to a Bourbon Brotherhood event yesterday, and I met two other software entrepreneurs who I would have never met any other way, and just I don't know.
So I'm always interested. Should you go read books? Should you go read blogs? Should you go and ideally you'll do all of those things. But
I think it's creating.
What's in your mind.
I think it's creating your own things. It doesn't have to be an article.
Okay.
But let's say spending some of your time laying out, let's say, ideas for your company or pushing it further. So how do you go so let's say you have an idea, well, you could maybe read about that, read books about that topic, or you could take that idea and you could start laying out, the Lean Startup Canvas or the Lean Canvas.
Lean Canvas.
Yeah, or maybe doing a business
Customer
plan.
development.
Yeah, or maybe talking to people Yeah, so it's you can research a lot and you can learn a lot, but sometimes just taking you see us doing new things all the time, like the Speed Up Louisville project or things like that. I mean, it just becomes an idea that just gets built out so far that it actually happens. So I don't know. I mean, it's just constantly trying to figure out what's the next step. What else can we?
Next step?
Yeah. So I mean, even PowerUp Labs, you're around when we even have a name for it.
Yeah.
And now we're working with people through it.
That's awesome.
In literally 2 or 3 months. I mean, we didn't have a name 3 months ago, I don't think.
So just doing it, just starting with a kernel of an idea and building on it. So researching, going to talk to people, talking to your prospective customers or someone that you would like to be customers and saying, would this be valuable?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you kind of mold Startup Labs?
I mean, we knew that there was opportunity because we see all these other digital agencies all over the U.S. Doing really well and growing their staff and working with cool clients, and we'll even look at the history of them. We'll see that they started off here and they kept on growing and getting bigger contracts, and so that one was already validated that if you're good at it, if you can go out there and hustle and find ways to bring value to people that you meet, that you can grow a digital agency. If you don't have the knowledge behind it, then it might be tough. So we were confident that we knew how to do all these things that we were selling enough to just say, other people are doing it, we can do it too. Yeah.
So is there a place online that maybe people can look you up and learn more about PowerUp Labs and ContentTools?
Yeah, I've become more active on LinkedIn, publishing a lot of articles there, so LinkedIn is a great place.
Okay, so connect with Jon Matar on LinkedIn, so I'll link that up later. So, and one just final question, if you could have a billboard anywhere, where would it be and what would it say?
Anywhere in the U.S. or anywhere in the world?
Anywhere.
Okay. Let's see. It would have to be. Oh, that's a tough one. I like the billboards that you're kind of like, what? It wouldn't just say Jon Matar. It would say something. That's a tough question. Where would I put it?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's see. In Louisville.
Yeah. You can just.
Okay. Maybe on the bridge entering Louisville.
Okay. Entering Louisville.
And it says you're entering Jon Matar country.
You're gonna.
And then people are like, what is that?
He's
And they're gonna look
confidently, ladies and gentlemen.
well, I don't know what the billboard is supposed to do. Is it supposed to promote me?
It can say whatever.
Okay.
Typically,
It's going to say, listen.
Typically, it says like, "Love your neighbor as yourself."
Oh, so I answered the question like with a big ego. I would say, check out Casey's podcast. Let's see.
TV.
Okay, well then it would be something inspiring for maybe business growth, since that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's so good.
So just go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Or action. What about action? Take action.
Take action.
On improving your yourself and your business.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Thanks, John.
And maybe it says, don't drink out of the Ohio River. It'll be like a PSA.
Drink bourbon.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.